I am live. Hi, folks. Elaine Marolakos Edelson with AstrologyMojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. So today we're talking about the planets themselves and what they represent. Because remember, oh yeah, we do. They don't do anything to you. Everything is an influence in this world or beyond it. Motion, breeze, the weather, the walls, but ultimately you're the one making the choice. And so when we look at astrology and we're looking at how to define things, it's not because, Mars is. I met someone recently who said to me, when they found out I was an astrologer, transformational astrologer, and they said, I have Mars and Capricorn in the first house. That was the first thing this person said to me. And I said, well, you don't take bleep from anyone, do you? I said, but it's not Mars making you be that way. And she tilted her head and was like listening. And I said, you came in with this necessary momentum, Mars momentum, to be tough and to overcome situations. And so that's how I want you to start looking at astrology and the planets, because we need to upgrade people, my friends. We are upgrading our definitions, just like thousands of years ago, the sixth house in astrology represented slaves. Okay. Yikes. We are upgrading as we grow and change. We must upgrade definitions, technology, infrastructure on the roads. We have to upgrade material, definitions, and our need to define something and validate our lives via the planets. So let's just get right into it today, because I have to go to the dentist later. Talking about upgrading, it's just a cleaning. Okay, so we're going to look at just these planets. And yes, we have the solar eclipse in Libra coming up on Sunday, but we're already in the energy. And I want you to understand that the sun and the moon, the pull that they have, there's a direct correlation to, how much we feel or what we get to witness as far as what we're manifesting. The sun will shine a light on what you're doing, and the moon will cast a glow on those feelings that are not comfortable. So there's incoming and outgoing. There's flow, constant flow all the time. All right, so let's take a look at this. We have the sun, as I was just saying. The sun represents, and I don't think I can make this bigger, but I can make me smaller. Let's see. How about that? Okay, there we go. That works. So the sun is the energy. It's our star, and it represents the focus, what we're looking at. It represents a masculine energy, and we're all equipped with masculine energy, regardless if you are non-binary, if you are a they, if you are a he or a she. Doesn't matter your biological gender. The sun in astrology represents the focus, and often a masculine focus, as in proactivity. Wherever the sun is, and this is a transiting chart. This is where in the heavens right now, this is where all the constellations and how they're lining up between amongst themselves. And so, yeah, we have a trine between Pluto and Uranus and the moon. It's going to last another day. And so we're opening up emotionally, right? That's what that represents. But the sun is your focus. And wherever the sun is in your natal chart, if this were your chart and you were a Libra sun with a Scorpio rising and a Virgo moon, this is the vibe. So wherever the sun is placed in an astrological chart, and these are the houses, and they go from 1, starting here under the horizon line, and they go counterclock all the way around to 12 right up here. If this were your chart, your sun would be in the 11th house. And so your focus would be more on people, associations, groups, your dreams coming true, And the relationship that you have to the exact opposite house which would be creative projects, romantic involvement, and family, children, grandchildren, or teaching children. But with the sun here, it's saying that your focus is this, because that's what you have chosen as a foundation, a baseline when you got here. Okay, so then the next planet closest to the sun is Mercury. Mercury represents perception. I will say, and you'll hear it, excuse me, you'll hear it from every astrologer or tarot reader who also uses astrology, that Mercury is all about communication. But communication does not start when we open our mouths. Communication begins when we perceive something based on our personal experience. So, you've heard, maybe you haven't, but in business, people will say, oh, yeah, it's just business. It's not personal. Everything is personal because in your world, you are creating perception and belief systems based on your experience. And that is Mercury. And Mercury guides the sign Gemini and Virgo. The sun is the muse of Leo. So when Mercury is in a particular house in astrology, or it's in a particular sign, then the flavor of how you perceive and how you then translate that into synapses, neurons, and then formulate, oh, this is how it is. I see how it is. But maybe it's not that way for someone else. Definitely not that way for anyone else. So when you say, I see how it is, that's your belief system. And a belief system is nothing more than a thought you keep thinking over and over and over again. If I drive at night at 10 o'clock at night, in the middle of the inner city, I'm bound to get a flat tire. And yeah, I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to drive at night. Or is that true? Well, I don't know. If you create it, it's true. It's true for you. What I like to tell my clients is that perception leads to limitations and also expansion. Mercury, representing the formulation of synapses, Mercury doesn't form your synapses. Mercury is a planet. Mercury is a planet that is in our constellation, and it circulates around the sun, just like the Earth does, or the moon around the Earth, or any of the other planets. But what it represents is how you stream your thoughts. And then the sign that it's in tells you how you would open your mouth and then express those thoughts. It's like breaking it down. Oh, let's take inventory of who we are. Let's take stock of who we are. How do you communicate? If I meet someone, or I see a chart, or someone tells me and I don't know them and they say, I have a Mercury in Cancer, I know not to be bold and brash because they're more quiet. If I meet someone with a Mercury in Aries, I know that they're going to want to overtake the conversation and or ask questions and learn and get involved and just be part of the flow. So it isn't the planet or the sign that is making you be a certain way. Please understand that. You are a sentient, celestial, eternal being. You are pure conscious love. You are an extension of light. You are the one who is making your choices. And with Mercury, the definition is then how do you open your mouth based on your personal experience? And this is what I tell my clients. You walk outside, it's raining, you slip, you fall, you get hurt. You go back inside and you say, well, I'm never going to walk again when it's raining, thereby limiting your experience. And or you say, yeah, that didn't feel good. I will go out because I have to go to work or go somewhere, but it's raining. I'm going to take all this gear with me for protection, and or I'm going to walk really slow. I'm just going to be really cognizant of where I put my footing, and I'll be looking down. And so you alter your behavior based on your perception. Make sense? Great. Awesome. Then we come to Venus, also rotating close to the sun. And Venus is the planet that represents, it guides Libra and Taurus. And it also represents beauty, yes, romance, love, protection. And by way of protection, I mean, I know women who are in the military and or who have a strong Venus placement in their chart, and they are doctors, nurses, attorneys, and they want to protect their clients, their patients. They are police officers. So yeah, Venus is not just, the color of your fingernail polish. And going on a diet, Venus represents the part of everyone that has an aesthetic nature, that wants to invest their time and energy with another person and create harmony. Venus wants to, no, I'm sorry. I have to change my language as I go because it's just so common. And I started out believing that the planets did something to us. Venus represents the part of you that wants that harmony. You want the harmony. So then you look at Venus and say, well, what house is it in? What sign is it in? In this case, it's in Virgo. So you can look at a person's chart or your chart and look at where Venus is and what sign it's in and say, oh, I get a clearer picture of how this person likes to be romanced or what they expect from a partner, business partner, or their romantic partner, and or where they put their aesthetic sense of self. Is it in creating a beautiful environment in the house? Is it a garden outside? Is it creating a type of environment where they work and with whom they work and who they will allow to take charge or not? Venus is not a naked woman lying on a couch waiting to have, relations with someone. Yeah, we're upgrading our definitions, folks. Venus represents the part of you that wants harmony and sometimes goes to an extreme to get it. So, what could that look like? Well, it's finances, it's beauty, it's health and wellness. It's the well-being through sensual touch, as in a massage or creating a little meditation area with crystals and plants. It can mean so many things to so many people, but it is the part of us that craves harmony and also order. I know a lot of Venus ruled people, like Librans or Libra risings or Libra moons, who their closets are impeccable. They are color coded. They are Marie Kondoed. It's amazing. And there's nothing left out on the counter. You would never know that anyone had breakfast or even lived in the kitchen at all because everything is put away. So that sense of order and duty, that sense of responsibility to obey the law, to administer truth for people. I knew a Libran who was a principal of a high school and was tough love kind of person. So this idea that Venus is, it feels cozy and sweet and I want chocolate and champagne. Okay, yeah, it can be that depending on who you are, but it is so much more. Moving on, here we have Mars, the next planet that navigates around the sun, our star. And Mars represents the part of you that has momentum. Where is your momentum? In what direction? Is it spontaneous? Is it thought out? Is it aggressive? Is it assertive? There is a distinction, right? Aggressive would be war related. Aggressive would be fast and furious, car, metal, industrial related. Assertive would be I understand what you're saying, but now I'd like to give you my point of view. That's called, in philosophy, that's called an argument. An argument is not fighting. An argument is discussing different points of view. But when you have this feeling in you, like, I got to defend myself, I have to protect myself, I have to act out against others because of my beliefs, then your momentum is moving toward harm. Your momentum is moving toward aggression. Mars, again, depending on what sign it's in, and Mars is Mars guides, and well, I have to think of what year planets were discovered, but initially, Mars was the ruler of Scorpio, and then Pluto was discovered in 1930. I forget what, 31, I think, and so then was assigned to Scorpio because it's the depth, it's the transformation. So when we look at Mars being in a particular sign, and depending on what house it's in, you could be a very sexually motivated person, or you could be a very industrious person. You could be a tireless, working through the night to get the job done. Now, we add to that later on. I'll talk a little bit about retrogrades if we have enough time. But your energy and where it's directed is represented and symbolized by Mars. And it's also seen as the masculine energy to Venus's feminine energy. So that's why they are co-related to, I feel a certain way versus I think a certain way. I am more feminine. They are more masculine, or vice versa. So that's the Mars-Venus connection. But also Mars and Venus share protection and defense. Protection and defense systems. And it can be immunity. It can be, depending again on what sign it's in and what location it's in your chart. Mars can represent, I'm going to go and become a nurse, or a tech radiologist, an oncologist, or wherever your sense of duty lies toward helping others in a defensive way, not necessarily a defensive behavior, but in the areas that deal with bodily immune defense. You could be a research scientist and put all your focus on, I want to solve this problem. That's your momentum. You could be a race car driver. You could love to dirt bike in your off hours. You could be someone who just wants to eat candy all day, depending on where Mars is placed and in what sign and in what house, and the angles and aspects it has to other planets, the relationship, the correlation to who's talking and why. So Mars can be stealth. Mars can be totally, Avenger aggressive, and out in the public. Mars can be ridiculously hot-headed, or very calculated in the direction of movement and motion with intention. So again, you look at your chart and you say, well, where's my Mars? And what is my Mars doing? My Mars is in Pisces. So my momentum is toward metaphysical and movies. Movies inspire me. Certain movies, of course. Other movies I can't watch because either they're poorly written, poorly acted, or the content is disturbing. But I gain so much. Movies and television are a microcosm of the mind, right? So you want to be very selective about what you're watching, because when you're tired at the end of the day and you're just hanging out and you turn on the TV, you're being hypnotized. And then that momentum moves toward you believing you have some kind of illness because of the pharmaceutical commercials that come on TV, or you're watching a show and thinking, oh my gosh, look at the war that's happening in the Ukraine. And that's all you read or watch, or that's all you input into your system. Then your momentum is definitely against defense and judgment. So you have to watch where you're putting your energy, right? Because the planet's not doing it to you. You are. All right. So we move from your momentum. We have the focus with the sun. We have the inner communication perception, which turns into neurons that create connections, that create belief systems, that creates the pattern and the talking or the lack of communication. It is your expression. And then we have the financial focus, the aesthetic focus, that place of harmony in relationship so that we can get the job done, and also protection. And then we have momentum toward that goal. And then from there, of course, we have the earth. And then let's move on to Jupiter. Jupiter represents expansion. Now, are you expanding your waistline because you can't stop eating cookies? Or are you expanding your mind? Are you expanding you're a city planner and you're expanding the roads? It is about culture, travel, philosophy, sometimes religion, yes, but it's a belief system that is gained through cultural experience. Maybe you go and you go to a sweat lodge and suddenly you become aware of the first peoples of this land and say, oh my gosh, there's so much I don't know about them. I want to experience a little bit more. Or you go to a different country and you live in a kibbutz and you say, I didn't know that every single citizen, male or female, or gender non-specific, has to serve in the military at least 1 year in Israel. And let's just, with that thought, put some love. We'll put some love over there right now. So Jupiter is about expansion, also publishing, the written word, the teaching of that. And it can be learning as well. So university, college, classroom, but it's higher learning. If you sat and meditated and suddenly downloaded information that inspired you to do something that affected many people, that could be a Jupiter-inspired event considered. Not that Jupiter made it happen for you, but the emphasis is put on travel as well. And you could just be sitting in your chair traveling. You're traveling through meditation, through, if Jupiter were in Pisces, you're watching movies with me, with Mars in Pisces. And so your expansion is gotten through metaphysical and or addiction, if it's Neptune. But you have to watch the extremes. Jupiter represents the part of you that wants to go to an extreme. I'll go on a diet tomorrow. I can have that cookie. It's the last one of the bag. Come on, what's one day? That's the rationalization that is represented or symbolized by the Jupiter expansion mentality. And it can expand into judgment. We are this way because they did that to us. And there's this critical energy that's put on a system, an industry, a person, and blame. So Jupiter is about expansion, generosity, right? That's the part of us that wants to give extra because we have so much. We want to share it. But it's also about educating yourself. Maybe it's contracts. Maybe it deals for you, depending on where Jupiter is in your chart. Maybe it's about expansion through making money for other people because you have the bigger picture in mind, or a legacy or estate planning. Or if Jupiter, let's say, were in the first house, you might come from a very food-oriented environment in your past, here or in the fourth house as well. And that could lead to a food addiction. Or maybe it's if Jupiter is here in the sixth house and you're thinking, I really want to work out. You know what? I think I want to become a personal trainer. And I'm going to really hone my body, my mind, so that I can help others expand into wellness and well-being. So Jupiter represents expansion, but is it positive? Is it negative? That's your experience. That's your choice. Again, it's not the planet doing it to you. It's you making a choice to have that other cookie when I knew someone who was diabetic, and I can't believe their numbers that they were walking around, their sugar levels. It was amazing. And the doctor was like, I'm baffled. How are you even standing upright? Your numbers are off the charts. We don't even measure numbers that high. Sugar isn't even as high as the sugar in your body. Yet this person refused. Sheer tenacity and will. We are amazing creatures. So Jupiter, expansion, travel, education, philosophy, religion, spirituality, higher learning, contracts, might deal with the law, definitely travel, cultural events, but watching out for your need to go to extremes, and or the pendulum will swing either way. Are you on the negative side? Are you an armchair warrior, screaming at the TV about that athlete and what they could be doing, or that politician and what they could be doing, or that comedian or how they could have done that joke better? So Jupiter loves to get the information, and then it settles. And then sometimes, of course, all right, Jupiter represents the part of us that loves to have that information. But then where does it settle? What do we do with it? How do we expand with that? Or how do we find the center of our extremes so that we can heal? It's all about healing. Every single planet will have a healing component, representing a healing component in astrology for us. Because if you truly believe, like I used to, that the planets are doing something to you, you are what could be called an originist. I think they date back to the year 150, 200s, where they actually believed that the planets were conscious of their movements and actions, and played with people. But you lose power that way, right? You will lose power that way. All right. So moving on, Jupiter. Then we have Saturn. Saturn represents the part of us that is authority driven, that wants the piety. It's the selfless servant, but also the one who self-flagellates. Like imagine a movie about a priest in The Name of the Rose. It's like people beating themselves up because they have desire and they're trying to squash it out of them. So there's limitations in you. There's also this authority, this steady, slow climb to the height of ascension. Jupiter guides a Sagittarius. I neglected to say that. Saturn guides Capricorn. And so self-denial is a big subtext for Capricorn energy. And with Saturn representing the part of you that wants structure, order, and the elevation of awareness and consciousness. Its symbol is a dolphin's tail in the mystery of the ocean, and attached to a goat who's climbing the heights very slowly, one step at a time. And so the Saturn energy is about authority. Yes. Are you afraid of authority? Is that the part of you that wants to be the authority, the elder, the person who can pass on the wisdom? Are you the ascetic? Are you someone who is an acolyte? Are you training to be bigger, but you are always looking at your limitations? Is there self-denial? Do you delay gratification? Depending on where Saturn is in a sign and in what house, shows you where you think you are limited. shows you where you think or believe on some level that you're not worthy or not, you're undeserving, but yet you have knowledge. You got street creds. I mean, if you have Capricorn, and everybody does, in a place that says, I'm just going to sit back and learn until I really have like 47 degrees before I can hang them on the wall and then open a practice. But yet you start to feel it in your body, in your bones, in your skin, your achiness, your hips, your knees, your joint. And you think, am I aging or am I getting younger? I know Capricorn rising. I'm a Capricorn rising sign. I know Capricorn and Capricorn rising signs who start out very old. And even Capricorn moons, they start out tough, refuse to show emotion, don't want to try to minimize their space. But then magnanimous to a fault, always giving, but not allowing themselves to receive. And then there are the Capricorns who exemplify the term judge, officer, administrator, leader, teacher, professor, pious nun, priest. So wherever you are feeling the need to limit something, ask yourself if you are delaying gratification, and it can be something simple. And you know this is you if, and I say this to all my Capricorn people, sun, rising, moon, you're walking through the front door, you've got arms full of grocery bags. The phone is ringing and you have to pee. What do you do first? Now, the average Capricorn, sun, rising, or moon, would say they run for the phone. How can I help? What do you need? Or what did I do wrong? Instead of taking care of their own needs first. Put the bags down. You have an answering machine, or you have, your phone will take the message, right? And then you just take care of your needs. So ask yourself, if you know where your Saturn is, and you know that you delay gratification, is it all right to allow yourself a little bit more leeway, not be so stingy with yourself? I took voice lessons a long time ago with someone in town because I love to sing. And not just that, but I chant and I love moving energy. I move energy as a Capricorn rising, ruled by Saturn, guided by Saturn. I move energy through vibration. And so that's dance and that's music. And so when I took voice lessons and I was doing my scales in Eastern Indian scales, we were using different types of instruments to break apart the structure that I was taught in grammar school so that I could be open to new ways and not be so rigid or limited. And we were going through an exercise and the teacher stopped and she said to me, "Why are you so stingy with yourself?" And I was like, "What? What?" She said, "You have a sound that wants to come out and you are just not letting it. Why? What will happen? What will happen?" And I was like, wow, that set me off on what's the worst that could happen, which I use as a teaching tool for people. What's the worst that could happen? And then what happens? And then what happens? And then what happens? So it's like, if you know where your Saturn is and you know you are working toward a solution, have little perks set up along the way. Have little gifts for yourself. Treat yourself. Treat yourself because you're so worth it. Okay, moving on. This makes sense? Is this helping? Hi, people. Come say hello to me. We're talking about planetary influences in your chart and what the definitions are. You are the one ultimately making the choice and the decision. The planets aren't doing anything to you. Let's upgrade our awareness and realize that you're the one with the power. Ooh, who knew? Okay, so now we've done the sun, the major focus, sometimes masculine, Mercury, which deals with perception of your beliefs that formulate your expression, how you speak, what you say, what you truly believe. And Venus, which is wanting harmony and aesthetics and beauty, but also protection, and very keen on finance, and also the order of health and well-being. Then there's Mars, momentum, whether it be toward aggressive or assertive action. Um, if you're constantly interrupting someone, you're on the aggressive side. If you're listening and then, I have a question about that, and then give your opinion, that's the assertive side. Then there's Jupiter, expansion, but in what direction? And is it through travel, through the law, through education, through teaching, through learning, through writing, publishing? What is your extreme nature about? Or what language do you understand best? And it can be a foreign language that suddenly is so innate. And you say, I never knew what the meaning of this was until I learned Spanish or French or whatever. So sometimes it's that cultural experience that helps you to grow deeper. And then there's Saturn, that is setting that I feel so responsible. But as long as you have the ability to respond, responsibility is not a problem. If you are limiting yourself, if you are denying yourself a pleasure because you think someone else will suffer because of it, then you're suffering. So you don't want to suffer over your suffering. Saturn is about authority. And who's the boss of you? You are. That's right. You are, but without an extreme, right? So it's having that devotion toward expansion on the inside without denying yourself or limiting yourself. And then we move on to Neptune. Oh, wait, actually, it's Uranus. I get those two mixed up sometimes. You wouldn't believe that. To me, it's like you just throw them up in the air and they're all out there. It's like, okay. Uranus, rebellion. Uranus is the part of us that wants to rebel, that wants to understand science, astrology, that wants to be the rebel, the anarchist, the do it different person. But it can also represent the part of you that is erratic in nature, that has been emotionally held, and then suddenly you just want to run away. Every job you get, as soon as your boss says something that ticks you off, you quit and you don't follow through. It's erratic nature, but also it is brilliant nature. It is electric in energy, and that is musical. And that is the sound of the spheres in the universe. It's science, it's technology. We're using it right now. Higher technology. Uranus represents that part of us that wants to explore the realms of fear through a vibration. I'm going to go deep sea diving and check out the sonar waves of dolphins. I'm going to be an astrologer and meditate, and then suddenly expand through a vision or a dream. And or I'm going to be a musician, or I'm going to chant, or I'm going to do sound healing, or I'm going to be that scientist that creates nanobots to eradicate an illness. So it's revolutionary. It's unusual behavior. And it guides Aquarius. No surprise there. So we all have Uranus in our chart, depending on the sign it's in and the house that it's in, shows you where you want to break free. Where do you not want to have traditional or the norm? If you had Uranus in the 7th house, you cannot have a 9-to-5 relationship with someone. You need to be with someone who has high spirits, who is an adventurer, who regardless of whether they want to marry or not, they are someone who is dedicated to the unusual, to break up the patterns. If you had Uranus in, let's say, the 5th house, You definitely need art, science, music, and parts of, oh, I don't know. It's like saying I need to have a Tesla, but not just have the Tesla. I need to know how it works. I wanna be part of the movement of wind, water, electricity. I want that motion. I want that feeling. Where can I break up the pattern? And that's what Uranus represents for us. It's, sometimes representing the part of us that is very dogged, very determined, very fixed, very stubborn, and will have nothing. It can be like the zealot, the one who says, there is one God, and his name is Ralph, and he only wears the color yellow. And that belief system would create a following. So to the extreme, Uranus is that, yeah, that rebel, that anarchist, but to the point of harm. And so, Jim Jones, or I'm going to make bombs and throw them at my neighbors because their dogs bark when I'm eating dinner. There's that. And when you when you combine a very disgruntled person, right? It's not the planet doing it to you, but when you combine someone who's been wounded deeply and has not dealt with their feelings or their emotions, their vibration is at a lower level, but it's spiraling nonetheless, and it's amassing. And whatever you put your focus on for any sign or planet, whatever you put your focus on, that's what's going to grow. So the low vibe that we carry, that some of us carry, of the Uranus energy. And the way it was expressed in my world was, before I knew how to open my mouth and say no, the word no didn't come out of my mouth until I was 29 years old, to set a boundary with people, because Capricorn rising ruled by Saturn. I just was like, it's okay. I could take it on. Oh, they're going through a rough time. That's okay. They didn't mean to do that, to hurt me, to wound me. That's okay. But then when I would get emotionally frustrated, my Uranus energy represented the part of me that was like, I've had it. And I'd literally get in my car and drive. I would just drive for 2 hours. I would just go, because I needed some way to move the energy. The momentum had to come out in a way that was extreme, in a word. So watch your extreme nature. Yeah, Jupiter, extreme behavior. Uranus is like saying, you're a mother of 2 kids. You bake for the PTA at school. You're so sweet and kind. And then the next thing we know, you're blowing up a building because they're creating toxic chemicals. People are, you would never know. So you always see these things on the news. She was the sweetest person. Wow, you would never imagine that she would just go ballistic. And we hope that's not in your world or anywhere in your sphere. But if you feel that extreme, and you suddenly, extreme sports, climbing a mountain, I want to go ziplining, I have to do something, I have to move, I need equipment to do it, technology. What's the technology? You might invent something. Uranus is a part of us that also wants to invent something new, or put a slant on an old thing and create something new and say, yes, this is a pen. It was invented a long time ago, but this pen is not just a pen. In fact, who just did it? I think it was Apple. No, Facebook. Uh, Married with Ray-Ban, and they have glasses out, or coming out, and in the corner of the glasses, right up here, is a camera. So you have to watch your privacy. So that's extreme, using technology. Someone's spying on you. Yeah, that's a thing. So technology, flying airplane. What do I got? flying airplanes. We know what they are, but they started out as flying bicycles. And now we have flying cars. We have flying helicopters. Yes. We have so much more technology. Pretty soon, they're going to be roads in the sky and lanes. We have them for airplanes and helicopters now, but I'm saying the average person who can't fit in that parking space is going to lift their car up and go to the next level and park in the sky. The technology is already here. It may not be mainstream, but what we have, I forget the name of the company now. They were big in Phoenix because there was a big traffic jam. It's the driverless car. It was a driverless Uber. And people just took it to get around and whatever, but it got stuck and it wouldn't move and it created this huge traffic jam. So they're working out the kinks now for the higher technology that's about to come. And that deals with health as well. Health and well-being, medicine. So Uranus is that part of us that wants to reinvention. Do something new, do something that is you, totally you. And what I would say to our kid who is an Aquarius rising, guided by Uranus, is go be free throughout their life. They'd be little, they'd be frustrated. I'd say, okay, this is how the thing works, but you use it however you want. But if it's not working the way you want, let me show you how it works, understanding the technology of the wagon wheel or the toy or whatever. And then once you know how it works, now go be free. Go, what are you going to do with that doll that can walk on its own or swim in the tub? What are you going to do with that? Create an imaginary world that helps your brain to create neurons that says, yeah, that's possible. Somebody comes along and says, it's possible that we don't need to be using horses anymore. We could just somehow get around on, I don't know. I see this thing in my head and I want to make it real. So that's the Uranus part of you. And then we move on to Neptune. Neptune is under the water. Neptune represents and guides Pisces, but represents the part of you that is so mystical, magical, but also could be so addicted. How many people get readings like every other week? Or I like to watch all kinds of readers on YouTube because it's the technology. Thank you, the part of us that created and invented these tarot readers or, divine ascension readers or astrology readers. So you go and you listen, you go, oh, that's cool. I agree. I disagree. Oh, I didn't know that. I just learned something, or that gives me an idea. So Neptune is about harnessing that power that is mystical and magical. You have a dream, you get up, Sting talked about one of his songs. He said he had a dream. In his dream, there was this thing. He woke up and he wrote a song around it, and it became a hit. So it's bringing the dream into reality. It is vibrational healing as well. It is sound healing. It is using imagery to help you, kaleidoscope imagery. Dr. Joe Dispenza, just got back from my advanced week with him, my second time with him, and using kaleidoscope to help put you in a hypnotic state. That is the Neptune energy. Now, some people need to do that with drugs because they need to escape. So you can escape into videos and movies and not get your job done, or you're playing video games online, or you're so immersed in 3D reality. I don't mean the spiritual 3D reality where you see the thing outside of you and you imagine that it's separate. I'm talking about you put on the headset, the PlayStation, and you have like that kind of 3D reality, and you're flying over an eagle in France or something, or you're on another planet. So there's escapism with Neptune, and sometimes that escapism is through film, video, fashion, photography. It's recreating the image. It's the ideal vision. What do you want to do? And then sometimes that ideal vision is gets translated into zealous behavior, and it becomes religious. And it's this way or the highway. This is the way it is. This is the belief. And it becomes very critical of itself as well. And Neptune can become that zealot like Saturn can, or Uranus, energy in us can. But we look at Neptune with, I believe in ascension. I had a client once who was actually waiting to leave her body during the time of ascension. And I said, okay. And she had a lot of Neptune in her chart. And I said, are you using any kind of drugs? And she said, and I didn't mean that in a comical way. I was just like, are you medicated in any way? And she said, no, occasional wine or something, but I really believe, because I wanted to know which part of the Pisces I was talking to. And it was the religious part. And there's nothing wrong with religion, or right about it either. It's if it's what you believe, it's what you believe. But for her, she believed that she was going to leave it all behind. And I said, what would be different when you go? And she said, well, then I wouldn't worry, and I wouldn't feel fear, and I wouldn't have to deal with violence in the world and how ugly everything is. And I said, well, but you're in a body. Do you think you could ascend in your body and overcome that fear and integrate a bubble of beauty and life and compassion using that same energy, but the flip side of it? She was like, I never thought of it that way. And then the day came and went, and she didn't ascend physically into heaven. And I said, well, now what are you thinking? And she said, I am rethinking. I am rethinking the possibilities of now bringing it into my body so that I can be a voice for compassion. And I was like, that's beautiful. So you want to watch extreme behavior. You want to watch your addictions. And sometimes the vibrational behavior becomes a disassociation. It's like, I have to check out. It's too ugly. I used to joke and say, Pisces energy or Neptune energy is admiring this ancient architecture, but yet the building's on fire. And then someone else grabs him by the hand and says, run, the building's on fire. But look at the buttresses and the paintings. It's like, okay, let's look at them later. So you want to see where the illusion is. So being sober, and I don't just mean, you quit the chemicals, you stop smoking cigarettes, you just stop drinking wine, you don't do whatever. And then someone says, have you tried ketamine? Now that's a different vibe. Under direct supervision or microdosing with psilocybin, that is also a Pisces, Neptune energy. So it's like utilizing shamanic behavior in a controlled, safe environment so that, you're not just like tripping on your couch watching, I don't know, a cartoon. And that becomes scary for you. So when you find the depths of what's possible and you look at, let's say, a kaleidoscope, and you're gazing at the center of the kaleidoscope, you can find one on YouTube. In fact, go find Joe Dispenza, the black and gold kaleidoscope. Gaze, and it's got a beautiful Buddhist chant that goes with it. And you're gazing at the center, and everything is moving around you. And you go into this hypnotic state where then you can tell yourself, I am a celestial, eternal, sentient being. I am pure conscious love. I'm an extension of the light. I exist here, now, everywhere. It doesn't matter what other thoughts or what other people are doing, whatever is happening out there. It is a constant motion of you being centered in that belief that you are present, you are whole, you are healthy, you are kind, you are protected. With that energy, because of that energy, you're an extension of light. And there's no dogma on it. So there's no rules really except to be present and to own who you are. That is the Neptune vibe. That's the ideal vision. That's the aesthetic of the acolyte who's climbing up, you would say, right next to Capricorn and Saturn, climbing up to that place of, feeling sacred. But then it's beautiful art. and it's poetry and it's magic. Pete Furman on Instagram, he's amazing. I watch his magical tricks as he's describing them, and I'm like transfixed, and I'm like, uh, how do you do that? That's beautiful. And then, of course, I have my Harry Potter wand. Come on. We are making magic here with Neptune. Just watch the addictions. And then we come to Pluto. I'll do the moon last, but we come to Pluto, and Pluto is all about the core transformation, what I call TNT for the psyche. Wherever Pluto is in your chart, it's where you want to uncover the shadow and find out who you really are to overcome the fear. Fear has many names: indignation, arrogance, insecurity, procrastination, on and on, judgment. Fear has many names. But the core fear is that you are not worthy and you are not divine. But you are, right? You really are. And so with Pluto representing the shore of your unconscious self, it's when suddenly you hold it in, you hold it in, you hold it in, you hold it in, and then you have this plutonic explosive event. And some people go postal, sad to say. Some people want to start a war. Some people, I want a divorce, in keeping in the same frequency as a Uranus negative, explosive, extreme. I want something that I don't have, that I can never be. And so there's this transmutation that needs to happen with Pluto. And Pluto is TNT for the psyche. Let's wake up. Wake up to the fact that you are at the center of your world. You are the magnet for everything in your life. That's what Pluto represents. And the fear, it's like, but I don't know how to do that. I don't have enough degrees. I haven't studied, Ramana Maharshi. I don't know. How am I supposed to change? How am I supposed to do that? I'll just stay comfortable. And when I see fear, I'll just turn to the right. And then I'll live my life. And then, here comes the fear. I will turn to the right. And then eventually you're going in circles. It's when you stop and uncover the shadow within that is not evil and is not bad. You are not a horrible person because they gave to you, but you didn't give to them. And the guilt and the shame. Okay, guilt is I made a mistake. Shame is I am a mistake. And Pluto energy inside of us, it's not the planet or dwarf star that some people signify it as. It is not the sphere that is causing us to feel this way. It is our experience in a physical, biological form where we are programmed from the start. We are so in touch with our divinity when we're babies. And then we cry and our needs are met or they're not. And then we start to realize our environment is not safe. We don't trust what's happening. And then we build up defenses. And then we build up this idea that if I can have, and Pluto guides Scorpio, if I can have this amazing, big explosive experience, whether it's sexual, whether it's power trips, whether it's manipulation, whether it's a higher vibe, and it's doing hypnotherapy, and suddenly, you just picture all the planets and the sun and the moon, the spheres, as people at a party. And you're withheld and you're doing your thing. And suddenly you meet Pluto. And Pluto's like, it was a really good dip. So why do you do what you do? Because, I make some money and I blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but you hate it, don't you? Well, I don't know if I hate it. Be honest. Well, yeah, I really don't like it. Oh my gosh. I hate it. I hate what I do. Well, why are you doing it? Because I have a family to support, or I have to, and it's like, blah, 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 says Pluto, but not really. is the part of you that's saying, what is your truth? What's your truth? And why are you denying it? And then the physical illnesses that can ensue from pushing your emotions down, from not dealing with a trauma, from not dealing with stress or cortisol. The part of you that is just trying to keep it in the shadow. I'm just gonna put it in the closet over there and I'm not gonna touch it. But you can't help but not feel it because it's you. And during this time of eclipse energy, what I do feel is that wherever your Pluto is, and whatever sign it's in your birth chart, and there's only going to be three signs really, unless you're over 100 years old. And what you're looking at is, I need to transmutate. I need to transform. Transform is to change. Transmutation is when a biological thing, a person, a plant, a tree, whatever, evolves into its next highest self. I believe my Pluto for me represents in my body the merging of biology with divinity. There you have it. There you have it. The angel atom is ignited. And then suddenly I am. And then I go have a cup of tea. I hope this makes sense. And whether you're watching this live or in a replay, I hope this is giving you some structure and meaning in your chart. And the moon is very fast as it rotates around our Earth, very spinny, very fast, approximately every 2.5 days, unless it's void, which means it's in between constellations as it's spinning around us. But the moon represents, guides Cancer, the sign of Cancer, and represents the part of you that is emotional, that feels, that is intuitive, empathic, in tune with, but also deals with women and children, writing, literally writing, not riding. That would be Neptune. Neptune guides horses and magical beings. But the moon is your emotional self. It's your connection to the feminine energy, the flow, the feeling state. So depending again on what sign it's in and the placement in your chart will be a very clear indication of how you allow yourself to express emotionally or intuitively. Is it one big explosion? Is it constantly talking? Is it emotions? Are you thinking about your feelings? Because if you're thinking about your feelings, you're not feeling your feelings. So wherever the moon is in your natal chart, it signifies the deep well of expression that you have and how you want to connect, or how you choose to connect, how you do connect, whether you're conscious or unconscious about it, how you connect with children, how you connect with the women in your life, to mother, regardless of if mother passed on early or you were abandoned or adopted. It is your emotional connection to the imagine, and if you're a man and you're listening to this, or you've never given birth, just imagine this, that another living being is sharing the same exact space as you. And so the maternal energy comes through. Everybody has a mother on this planet, whether they don't know them, like or hate them. Everyone has a mother. And that maternal flow is the nurturing self-care. So taking care of oneself is akin to healing on many levels, and then increasing intuitive levels. Because the clearer you are emotionally, by not only feeling your feelings, but naming them. I feel really frustrated right now. And that's because, oh my gosh, I forgot to eat lunch. I'm going to go nurture myself, take care of myself. But some people are frustrated and they don't listen to their body. They're not in tune with their body. And they look at the next thing that comes by and they hurl, right? And that doesn't help. Or you get an intuitive sense that, I need to leave, but you stay. Or I need to stay, but you leave. So it's contradicting yourself. It's listening to what you need. It's self-care. It's the flow. You are flowing with the go when you are in tune with the moon. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing because I have to get to the dentist. That would be Saturn. Teeth, bones, nails. I hope this was helpful. Oh my gosh. Hi, Teresa. I'm so glad you showed up. So whether you're watching this now or in a replay, I just want you to know that you are love and loved. So repeat after me. Regardless of what the planets are doing in the heavens, they are not controlling you. But understanding their symbolism and their meaning can help you understand yourself on a deeper and much greater level. So repeat after me. I love that I am love. Let me hear it. I love that I am love, because that's your superpower. I'm just going to pull one card, come back to earth, and get there. Boop. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, there it is. Ooh, detachment. I like that. Detachment doesn't mean you're unfeeling. It just means you're not so bent on an outcome. Because if you're doing that, you're attached, of course, but you're not allowing flow. So the wave is everything in science. The wave is everything. The particle is the thought or the judgment or the disassociation, right? So we want waves. And by detaching through meditation, through breathing, take a walk around the block, eat really well, take care of yourself, you're going to be in a much greater sense of flow. And the number one, which is independence. I love that message. All right, my friends, I will see you again. Stay tuned for the next message that comes along, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being. And as always, I wish you peace. And I will see you next time.